There is literature around the harm of setting goals that I'd like to address here in today's podcast. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. Goal setting is the fastest and easiest way to get more from your life than anything. And there's these arguments from time to time about the harm setting goals has. So first off, if you set a goal that is smart, it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. You can set those goals all day, and because they're attainable and they're realistic in your current mind, you'll likely achieve them. However, you're not going to go very far in life. You're going to be a good employee. You're going to be good to get the day-to-day work done. But if you want to achieve massive results, if you want to go to the next level and where you feel you could be, I don't know about you, but if you have the frustration where you're working at a job or you're in a career and you feel like you've plateaued, maybe you have a company of your own and you're doing good. By everybody else's measures, you're doing good, but you inside want to do great. And you want to take it to the next level. Smart goals are not going to take you to the next level. Now, the argument with these folks is that setting goals does more harm than good because you have constant disappointment. Now, I agree sometimes. I am constantly disappointed with my ability to achieve, but I've set these stretch goals. Like, for example, I shared a stretch goal with an investor, a real estate investor nearby, because I wanted to partner with the real estate investor to buy up all the homes around a certain piece of land, because the rural community that I'm in is essentially I live in a house that would cost $371,000 to build, but I bought it for $155,000. I put some simple maintenance into it. It's going to be worth $200,000, $300,000 easily. I've got houses nearby that are $700,000, $800,000 in a community where the average home is about $100,000. If you're looking at the large county area, the average home is about $100,000. And I live in a neighborhood with $700,000 houses. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying it because there's a gap between the average and the top end, that there's some headroom for opportunities there. If you buy distressed properties that are below the average, clean them up, you can at least make them average or a little above average. So I'm talking to this guy and I say, look, I'm going to buy this giant piece of land, this lake, the community lake, and the local country club. And I believe that if we buy these properties and we improve them, that every house connected to those properties will increase in value. So you'll get the value from buying the distressed property and improving it. You'll get the value from these amenities improving, and you'll get the value from having a buy-in to this larger community development. And the guy's like, that's unreasonable. Well, first off, I didn't mean I was personally going to buy the local country club. My intent is that if we set a goal to buy the country club, how are we going to pay for it? Well, we could use other people's money by stimulating membership, getting good leadership team in place, bring in some outside investors, and then ultimately we've bought the club. But it's a collective we. All the members would be owners and the investors would be owners, and I would be part of that. And this gentleman I was inviting to be a part of that, but he thought I was literally going to cut a check for $5 million and buy the local country club that's a little bit dilapidated. The course is great, but the club is a little bit old. It needs a lot of work. No, that's not the case. The lake is the same thing. Well, let's change the model of the lake. So I'm thinking buy the lake. It's the anchor. It's the goal that says, you know what, I'm going to buy the lake. And you know what, I don't think I can do it myself today, but if we work together, we can do it in the future. He's looking at these very smart goals in his mind, specific, measurable, attainable, and realistic and timely. That's great for what you're doing today, but I'm not thinking about just today. I'm thinking about 3 years down the line, 4 years down the line. So I say, what if we buy the lake? Well, that'd be about $2 or $3 million. So what? What do we got to do to buy the lake? If we bought the lake and cleaned it up and managed it properly, all the houses around the lake would be more valuable. If we can't buy the lake, let's buy the houses. Okay, well, if we buy the houses and we don't improve the lake, then the houses won't have that top level appreciation that we need. So, you have to balance it and look at it. Now, if you are statically setting goals and then just grinding away to achieve goals, yes, I could see that being harmful. I could see that being stressful. I don't own the lake. I don't own the country club, and I don't own the land behind me because unfortunately this one person went out and started telling people that Justin's such an arrogant ass and he's going to buy the lake and blah, blah, blah. I think altogether it's maybe 100 acres. And I wasn't intending to buy it myself. I have this other small group that I'm working with that understands that it's about membership. It's about community involvement. It's about the community buying the lake, which increases the value of all the homes in the community. But this one person's got a different mindset. So that's the difference. What is your mindset? Are you thinking big? Like what I'm doing, I'm thinking big. I'm thinking, if I'm going to have a goal and I'm going to strive towards something, let it be big and huge, and then walk back to my present state to see what I can do today. Where this other individual was thinking about only what he can do today and saw it as an obstacle, saw it as an insult. Who does this guy think he is? He's going to buy this land. He's going to buy this lake. He'll own the whole damn community. Well, maybe not. But if we, as the community, buy into this, we're now all members in this larger community. It's going to have a better reinforcing value and a better opportunity for results. That's strategic relations thinking, which I have, versus limitation thinking, which a lot of other people have. But my point being is that goals are necessary. I saw Donald Trump speak a long time ago, and I purchased a VIP session to kind of meet him personally and ask questions. And meeting personally means like 30 people in a room all asking questions. But ultimately, he said, look, if you're going to do something, do it big. Do it over the top. You may never achieve it, but at least you're striving for something. And what I find is when you set large, audacious goals. Now, you might want to keep them to yourself, but if you set these big goals, you are going to be frustrated. You are going to be challenged. There's this constant pressure on you to achieve. But if you take a moment to look back, you're going to achieve far more than you ever imagined. First off, you're going to achieve thousands and thousands of small goals, your weekly goals, your monthly goals, your daily goals, your hourly goals. What will you achieve in the next 5 minutes? Thousands of those will happen. And the 4 or 5 big, hairy, audacious goals that you have, you may only reach 1 or 2 of them. But again, it's your perspective. How do you see that in your own mind? Elon Musk wants to start a colony on Mars. He is talking about that when he has a colony on Mars, it will not follow the rules of the Earth planet. When he has a colony on Mars, everybody's looking at him. Now, half the people look at him and saying he's crazy. He'll never have a colony on Mars. It could take 1,000 years, blah, blah, blah. And other people are saying, yes, let's make this happen. What side do you want to be on? The naysayers will always be there. But with this big, audacious goal, it gets you up in the morning. It drives you towards an outcome. Now, if you've got 50 big, audacious goals, you're spreading yourself a little thin. You're not going to get the results that you're looking for because you're going to deplete the resources. And I have that challenge sometimes. I'm very optimistic. I get excited about something, and then I run off chasing it, and I realize, well, that's probably not going to happen in the near term. By the way, I have a whole goal-setting system that has worked for me. It's worked for clients. It really works to achieve big things. But I look back and I say, you know what? Maybe 2 or 3 audacious goals. And for me, buying the land behind me, buying the lake, and buying the country club was moving towards an estate property. I've been buying properties and cleaning them up and reselling them, or buying properties and renting them. I'd like to just go ahead and retire to like an estate, to a couple 100 acres of land, and kind of that community of lifestyle and relaxation that I would get if the lake was managed differently and if the country club was full going. But I could just as simply move to a neighborhood who has those things. I just wouldn't have that idea and concept if I didn't ask myself, how is it possible? When I shared this idea with this other person, he literally got jealous. He's been narking on me all the time about how my property looks. I'm doing a couple big land projects, and he's concerned that I'll get my house too expensive and then it'll take away from the houses he's trying to sell. It just went completely ridiculous. But my point being is, I'm still getting the results that I'm looking for. And my frustration actually isn't even this other person. My frustration is that, look, I've got some obstacles in my plan to buy the lake, to buy the land, to buy the country club. And I didn't get the traction I was looking for with people joining. There actually are people joining the club, but their intent isn't to improve the club. Some of them are joining to take advantage of the club. But my long-term perspective is, well, if that ain't got to work, I still think it'd be pretty cool to have a large piece of land, a lake, and a beautiful estate house. So I looked into the other places. Again, it's the difference in perspective. I could get frustrated and stop, but instead I get frustrated and say, well, is there another way? And so I look and I say, well, you know what? I found 217 acres, agricultural land, got 2 ponds on it. Only thing it's missing is that estate house. I found 170 acres, doesn't have a pond, but it has the estate house. And it turns out it's only going to cost me $299,000 to get the 200 acres. And it's only going to cost me $500,000 to get the estate house. It ain't going to cost that much to dig a pond. So folks, my point is that these big audacious goals do 3 very important things. 1, they keep driving you towards something that's out there, that next thing. What are we going to do? What are we going to achieve? What are we going to become? They also give you a sight to set the near-term goals. Look, if I want this in 5 years, what do I got to do today? And you can back out of that original thing. But third, they help you get around the short-term obstacles, the small challenges, the small concerns. I don't need to spend $5.3 million. And by the way, I did calculate what it would cost for me to just buy all of it and manage it all myself. It would be $5.3 million. And then I can ask myself, well, what else could I buy for $5.3 million? Well, for $3.8 million, I can actually buy a 500-acre estate that has a 23-room mansion on it that's currently being used as a bed and breakfast. And then I'm thinking, well, I don't want to clean a 23-room thing, and I don't want to run a bed and breakfast, so let me back down one more time. I'm not backing down on what I get. Actually, I get more for less buying a $3.8 million property versus the $5.3 million. Now, the upside might be better on the 5.3 because individuals are managing their own homes, and once you sell the home or you lease the home out, you've got different tax positions. But I'm able to have a cognitive and strategic conversation in my mind with my strategic partners in my mastermind group to get what I want. And I'm able to understand that, you know what? I can get what I want for $500,000. And look, I don't have to deal with other people. And I could put a smaller house on the property. I could get the 200 acres and put a $100,000 house on the property and have different areas around the property for enjoyment. So for example, down at the lake, I could have a little lake cottage with a pier and a little boat and everything. And that's only going to be $50,000 to build that. If the lake already exists, if the lake doesn't exist, it's $150,000. But if my main house is only a $100,000 main house, maybe 500 or 1,000 square feet, and I've got a nice, beautiful yard and garden that I'm looking for, can you see how all this can drive you forward? Can you see how this creates opportunity? Elon Musk says, I want a colony on Mars. He can now ask the question, how am I going to get there? And once I'm there, how am I going to communicate back with Earth to do the supply chain? And boom, there we go. We have SpaceX, we have Skylink or Starlink or whatever they're calling it. And then we have a mission, we have a vision, we have something to drive the believers forward to the outcomes that people desire. How many people will benefit from one reusable rocket? How many people will benefit from the first moon colony? How many people will benefit in the long term of simply trying to achieve this big goal? If Elon Musk looked at a Mars mission and said, look, I need it to be smart. I need it to be measurable. I need it to be attainable. He might be simply sitting on the moon one day in the same amount of time it would take to get to Mars. My point being is don't listen to the naysayers. Yes, you'll have smart goals in the near term, but there's nothing wrong with that 5-year, 10-year, or even 100-year perspective. There's one exercise I do with clients when we get together for a mastermind is the 100-year plan. Now, some people say, well, I'm not going to be alive in 100 years. Well, what if you wanted to achieve something within 100 years and you knew you weren't going to be alive? How would you achieve it? Well, I'd have to achieve it through influence. I'd have to achieve it through an organization that perpetuates my ideas. Can you see where I'm getting when it comes to strategic relations? You can make yourself an immortal by understanding that your 100-year plan is simply an exercise in where to focus attention, where to focus activity, what is going to motivate you and drive forward desire. It doesn't matter that the plan may never be achieved, but it also is something that could be so powerful that even once you pass away, someone else may take it up. There are many family businesses that in the beginning were just ideas, and people laughed and scorned, and people pointed, and they're like, Sam Walton, for example. Oh, you just got a little store in a little small town. Well, everything he learned in that little store, he could duplicate in other small towns, and before you know it, he's the richest man in the world. Now, money and riches aren't the only thing. Your big audacious goal can help you understand what's important to you and what you want to do in life and your guiding principles if you go through the exercise properly in setting those goals. Now, of course, I've got a program on how to get more of what you want with a goal setting program that works. And it's not necessarily in the setting of the goals, near term or long term. It's more in the process of how you interact with your aspirations, how you interact with the outcomes that you desire, and then how you manage the time and resources that you have. Very often you can see there are ways of utilizing other people's resources, like in the example I have about not me buying the country club, but the whole community buying the country club, making it the experience and the enjoyment and the lifestyle that they want. Or it could be that you're going to do it yourself. And your big audacious goal is to land a colony on Mars, and you're going to be the leader that drives through. Well, that drives your public relations, that drives your advertising, that drives the vision and the mission and how you organize things. But please do not listen to the naysayers. The naysayers that say, oh, you shouldn't set goals, you'll be disappointed. Disappointment is fuel. Disappointment is what gets you up in the morning. Disappointment is the drive that creates the success that others didn't think were possible. You'll look back on your life following these principles. And of course, if you have questions about these, you can contact me at www.insidestrategicrelations.com. But you'll be looking back on your life, realizing that you've achieved thousands and thousands of daily goals that others thought were not even important to set. And that's why they were stuck where they were, frustrated, concerned. In fact, if you're frustrated and concerned about where you are, just going through the exercise of that big goal and then really drilling down into it. None of this, I would like to have $1 million crap. No, you can make a high income, you can get $1 million easy. 10 years, 9 years, 5 years, all depends on what your focus is. But these big goals, these 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, what will be your legacy? Oh, it'll transform your life. And I guarantee you, you'll have disappointment. That's part of life. But you'll also have joys and excitement that maybe some people even get jealous about. But ultimately, these are experiences that money can't buy. These are experiences in your lifestyle. These are experiences in your influence. These are experiences in your legacy. I'll leave you with one point really quick. If you want to, I talked with somebody who wanted to be an immortal. Like their goal, unhinged, no restrictions. What would your goal be? And they said, I would like to be an immortal. I didn't laugh at them. I didn't say anything. It is possible that advances in cryogenics or in DNA, it is possible there's advances that we don't even know about today that could make possible this individual to become an immortal. But historically, I know that Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and all these people are technically immortal. We talk about them every day. It's as if they live. People impersonate them and become their character today. And what we decided on is that yes, you can become immortal, but you're going to have to write some books. You're going to have influence in your industry. You're going to have a reason for people to keep you alive. So it's a science fiction sounding goal, a goal that some people might say is immoral. is clarified and turned into, well, write a book. Write a book that people want to read. Write a book that will help people. Write a book that will go on. And for other people, it might be to set up a foundation or an organization. I worked with one client who set up for their alumni association, they set up a scholarship fund, and they basically funded it to the point where the scholarship can give out $40,000 a year indefinitely. So there's a principal amount that generates income, and that income is what they're giving away, so they never touch the principal. So this individual, for the next 100, 200, maybe even 300 years, will be the named person who makes possible other people's education. I'm very passionate about this because I've been criticized for goals. I've been put down, and emotionally it does have an impact. But when I look back, I realize I've been able to achieve so much more for pushing the envelope and daring to think big. And that's what I want to leave you with today. When you understand strategic relations and you dare to think big, you'll realize that every resource on this planet is available to you. As Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have everything in life that you want. There's syndication. There's the opportunity of forming organizations that bring in the resources you need. There's the opportunity of how you invest or how you involve yourself in daily activities. But please understand, goals are the guiding posts. They're the milestones on a map. They're what get you from where you are to where you want to be. And frustration is just part of the game. Just like we have seasons, sometimes it'll be summer, sometimes it'll be spring, and sometimes it'll be the dead of winter where you're just questioning everything. When you have a method to question, when you have a method to develop goals, when you have a method to organize resources, your achievements are frankly guaranteed. But you do got to understand human nature, psychology, and how people will respond to this. Because maybe one of the reasons these folks don't set goals is because people told them it wasn't going to help. They told them it wasn't possible. It wasn't going to happen. And that of all the people who set goals, only 3 to 4% of people ever achieve them. Well, I'm not just worried about achievement. I'm driving for excellence. I'm driving to be great. I'm driving to be valuable to a community. I'm not driving just to achieve the goals. I want results. I want outcomes, and I want that for you. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. If you have any questions about what we cover here, or you want to discover new ideas and concepts to take you to the next level in life, business, and your marketplace, then visit www.insidestrategicrelations.com. You're going to find resources, tools, concepts that are guaranteed to work through relationships, through the transformation of relationships into profits. You're going to discover profits that are far beyond the restrictions of monetary means. And you're going to discover ways to achieve greater and more powerful outcomes that, frankly, sometimes people around you are going to be confused by. They're going to say you're lucky. They're going to say, oh, you didn't deserve that. But who cares what the hell they say? You're still achieving the outcomes that you desired, the path that you want, the liberty and pursuit of happiness that you deserve, those natural rights. Again, thank you for listening. I'm Justin Hitt. I love to hear your questions, success stories, and even challenges at times to what I'm saying, because goal setting is a means to get to where you want to be, to guide and focus resources, and to transform business relationships into profits guaranteed.